All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started here. My name is Steve Wick. I want to thank you all for being here today and being here with us for this momentous event. I'm a former student here at UMD. I've known Daniel for a few years, first as I was an activist here on campus, and then just getting to know him throughout other activities and being involved in the community. And I'm just going to start off by saying, Daniel's a fantastic person. He's really devoted to the causes that he's worked on, and really devoted to the causes that he stands for. And I think everyone here behind me is going to reiterate that same sentiment as they hop up here and speak. And I want to start off by introducing Barbra Peterson. She's a rural farmer from east central Minnesota here. She is also the vice president of the Minnesota chapter of the National Organization for Women, and she's also the vice president of the DFL Feminist Caucus. So I'm going to let you all clap as we have a
Happy days are here again. I can't tell you what this means to me, and I'm going to try to get through this. So wish me luck. When Daniel first asked me to speak at this event, me? Why? I'm just a farmer in the middle of the 8th District, very rural. Why are you asking me? I'm not a dignitary of the party. I'm not an elected official of the party. Why are you asking me? And then I remembered, I've known this man for several years. He's always been about everyday people. That's why he asked me. That's why he asked others. That's why he's running. So that kind of still stuck in my mind a little bit. But I'm just a farmer, slightly outspoken feminist. Molly, what do you think? I'm just an everyday person. But then again, that's one of the many reasons why I support Daniel. He realizes it wasn't the dignitaries who sat out this last election. It wasn't the dignitaries who felt that their voices weren't being heard. It wasn't the dignitaries and elected officials who felt that their issues weren't being addressed or their concerns dealt with. That's why he asks everyday people. Oops, sorry. We used to tell people here. Sorry about this. It's the everyday people who make up the Fighting 8th, and his compassion for all of the communities of the 8th, and his passion for making their lives better is just one of the many reasons I support Daniel. To quote a hero of mine, if we don't fight hard enough for the things that we stand for, at some point we have to recognize we don't really stand for them. That was Paul Wellstone, someone that I admire greatly, someone that I see in Daniel over the years that I've gotten to know him. He does not back down from any fight. Yeah, he talks the talk, and he talks it pretty well. But unlike so many others, he's there walking the walk. When the cameras are gone, Daniel's at the event. When the media is nowhere around, Daniel stands with his committed friends. Whether it's to stop this war, to speak up for veterans, the conversations I've had with this man about servicewomen, the breadth of his knowledge is just amazing, and it just really touches my heart. So with Daniel, we don't have to recognize that we don't really stand for these things. I know with Daniel, he will always fight hard enough, never satisfied with just doing the talk. He will walk the walk with all of us. That's why this everyday person is so proud to be a part of this Everyday Person campaign to take back the 8th. I proudly stand here today with Daniel and all of you. So now let's get to work and take back the 8th. What do you think?
I am privileged to be with all of you today, and I am honored beyond words to be asked by Daniel to speak a few words today. This is such a phenomenal event and such a phenomenal time. And so I'm just so blessed to be here with all of you. I want to talk a little bit about something that's often missed in our congressional district. It's about our future. It's about who we are. What I want to share a little bit about is the fact that people don't talk about this word because it's a bad word. We're a diverse community, and we're a diverse district. Now, I'm not just speaking on the fact that it's race, as sometimes it's often referred to. It goes beyond that. Our district is home to farmers and professionals. It's made up of mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles, all of which who have different stories. There's a mix of the ones who are poor and fighting for every single penny that they have and every bit of food on their table, and others who have found that American dream. We're much more diverse than what people would like to believe. We're diverse in the sense that the divisions that have separated us, even within this district and in this state, have created a status quo that no longer works for the majority of us. So what do? How do you correctly address that diversity? See, we all know, there's not a single person in this room that doesn't know this. We can talk about unemployment all we want. We can talk about taxes all we want. We can talk about job creation. We can talk about homelessness and housing all we want. And if you really want to push a button, talk about health care all you want. But see, that's just talk. It's the few that understand what that talk means are the few that can make the difference. And I am honored to know that Daniel Fanning understands that and is willing to make the difference. When you send someone to Washington, you are giving them a huge responsibility. You are saying, go become part of a group that determines what is good for me, what is good for the state, and what is good for the country. And I am proud and honored to introduce to you the person who won't just talk, but will stand and will fight every step of the way and do it with absolutely no apology. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you our next congressman from Duluth, Daniel Fanning.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, each and every single one of you who are here today. I feel like this is a game changer. I feel like this is an absolute game changer, and I'm proud and honored and humbled to stand here before you today. I can't thank you how much, I just can't thank you. I just can't thank you enough. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you've taken the time to be here on a Sunday afternoon. I know everyone's busy. I know we've all got competing priorities. You know, I guess I'm grateful that the Vikings aren't doing that great this season. But I also know that this kickoff is going to have more excitement than that kickoff, and that's not necessarily just a pun on the Vikings. But I know in this room today, we have, as you've heard, we have genuine enthusiasm, which is what we've been lacking, with all due respect, in this party for a while, and we're not going to take that anymore. We're not. The most exciting thing to me here today isn't me or the words you're going to hear me speak. It's the fact that in this room right now, as I look around, it's obvious. We have people from every corner of the district. We have people from all walks of life. We have people from different ethnicities, different religions. That's what we're talking about. Barbara and Brandon and Steve, I appreciate you alluding to that, because I have been talking about that for a while. And I've also been trying, with all of you, trying to do a better job of doing that outreach, and we have to keep doing that, and that's what I'm really, really proud of. So I can't say it enough how grateful I am that you've taken the time to be here. Several of you have driven a long time to be here. Some of you have flown. I'm especially honored to be here with my family, who I'll talk about just a little bit, some of which have flown across country to be here. It means the world to me, so thank you, thank you, thank you. But I'm also grateful for those who don't necessarily belong to a political party. I'm very proud to be a progressive DFLer. But I also realize that, you know, it's time that we put party politics aside. Just as Barbra said, and I'm just going to quote you, and Paul Wellstone works too. But at the end of the day, politics is important, and I've encouraged everyone my whole life to get involved in politics. We come from a pretty apolitical family, and I fundamentally believe, very proudly, that public service is an honorable thing, and I'm honored and proud to be running for office now. But at the end of the day, we have to change the way we do politics. That's not lip service. That's not some empty tagline. You're going to see things from me you don't see from other candidates. Things from me you haven't seen for a while. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of that. We have to throw away the old DFL playbook. It doesn't work anymore. We have to remind ourselves that, you know, not everyone in this district or this country are like us. You know, we're here at a political rally on a Sunday afternoon. With all due respect, we're not that normal, right? And that's okay. That's great. I'm grateful for, you know, your dedication to the cause. But at the end of the day, a lot of people don't necessarily belong to a political party. You know, they have some are progressive, some are liberal. But a lot of people also know that politics as usual right now, it ain't working. It's not working for everyday folks. When they check the mail and they keep getting more and more bills, and the bills are going up, but their paychecks aren't getting up if they're fortunate to have a paycheck, they don't care if they're blaming a Republican president or a Democratic president or whatever the case is. They just know our political system's broken, and that's really what we want to focus on in this campaign. That's why I'm excited that people are coming together. And it's not okay to just demonize the other side. Believe me, I'm going to hold Republican, especially Chip Rock, accountable. But at the end of the day, we also have to be honest and talk about things that we've done wrong too. Not only as a party, not only as a DFL party, not only as progressives, but as Americans. A lot of the issues that we have are created by us and can be solved by us, I quote JFK, but that also goes to the very heart of the political system itself. So that's why I'm running for Congress, because I feel like we have enough voices who are representing wealthy people. We have enough voices already who represent the old guard, the old establishments. I'm not part of a clique. I'm not part of the Good Old Boys Club. I don't want to be part of the Good Old Boys Club. I'm tired of the Good Old Boys Club, and it's about time we have someone representing us who's going to represent everyday people for everyday reasons and put principle before party, patriotism before politics, and that's what I want to do when I'm a congressman. The reason that I say so proudly that I'm a progressive DFLer is because they're both really important. I'm a progressive DFLer. But just because I'm proud to be a Democrat doesn't always mean I'm part of the Democratic Party. And again, I'm saying this and I'm bringing this on head on because I want to set that clear message from the get-go. You know, I believe in the DFL platform, and Barbra and I have had many conversations about that. I'm unabashedly opposed to a lot of the things the Republican Party stands for, but at the end of the day, I know that they're not bad people, right? But we have to do a better job of living up to the values that we're supposed to stand up for. If we're talking empty rhetoric, if we're just saying the same old talking points, we're not standing up for anything. And that's what, unfortunately, I see politics in general heading in that direction, and that's what we want to try to change. This goes well beyond one candidate. This goes well beyond one election cycle. I'm not stupid, and I'm not that egotistical. I realize you're not all here to support me just as me, and I'm grateful for that. This is part of a bigger movement, which is fascinating in a lot of ways. It's inspiring. It's encouraging to see. And people are standing up and saying we're tired of politics as usual. We have to start putting patriotism before partisanship, principle before party, and I'm glad that other people are starting to say that. I'm running for Congress not only to replace Chip Rock next November, but to also fundamentally change the way we do politics. I'm going to keep saying that because it's God's the honest truth. That's idealistic. Call me idealistic. But at the end of the day, if I win and I'm not following that, then I don't want to win. That's the difference. This isn't just about me wanting to be a congressman. It's about me wanting to change the way we do something. And to quote Wellstone again, he said there's two kinds of people who run for office. Somebody who wants to be somebody and somebody who wants to do something. I'm going to get into some of the issues I really care about in just a second, but those are the things I want to do. I want to end poverty. Call me idealistic, but I grew up in poverty, and I don't think people should grow up in poverty in the United States of America. I just don't. So, politics as usual isn't working. That's the theme. If I haven't made that clear, that's the theme of this campaign. The rich are getting richer, and the poor are getting poorer. Many struggle to find a good job. And those who are fortunate enough to have a job still struggle to make a day-to-day. Right? As somebody who grew up poor, I simply can't sit in silence and watch that happen any longer. I was raised in poverty by a single mom who I'm proud and honored to be here with today, which I'll talk more about her as we go on and rest assured. Mom, right, you worked 2, 3, sometimes literally 4 jobs at a time, right? And still struggle to make ends meet. As I travel around the district, we know a lot of people like that right now. From the range to the southern part of the district, to the northern part of the district, to the western part of the district, I'm hearing that story a lot. And it's deeply personal to me, because I think of the kid who grew up in a trailer park, watching my mom struggle, raising me and my brother, who I'm also honored to be here with today, by herself, and still struggling to make ends meet. I don't think that's right. I don't think that's American. That's one of the biggest reasons I'm running for Congress, to fundamentally change the way we do politics and to ensure that that kid in the trailer park, or that kid on the reservation, or that kid who lives on the outskirts of town because, because his family can't afford to buy a house now, so they're just looking for rent, wherever they can afford it, they need a voice in Washington too. And that's why I'm running for Congress. It's time we stand up and fight back against the wealthy corporations and the politicians from both political parties who are in their pockets. And by the way, speaking of corporations, I do not believe corporations are people. I don't. I adamantly oppose corporate personhood. And that's just a stance we have to be more vocal about. I'm proud of the men and women who have been recently occupying Wall Street, and others who are now engaged in communities across this country, including right down the street in Minneapolis. In fact, I know, where's Heather? Is she around here? There's Heather over here. I know Heather, maybe some others as well, after this rally are going to go down there. And
Zach just came back.
oh, did you?
We
Good.
were down there yesterday.
How'd that go?
It was incredible.
That's fantastic. And Heather, you going down today? Will you do us a message?
Sure.
Will you send a message to them, tell them that we appreciate what they're doing, that we're grateful for what they're doing, we believe them, we stand for them, we encourage them, we love their efforts, and tell them thank you from Duluth.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Thank you. These recent movements are proof that everyday people are getting tired of politics as usual. Yet many who represent us in Washington, D.C., regardless of where they live, whether it's Lindstrom or New Hampshire or wherever, if they're working in D.C., a lot of these people, they just don't seem to be getting that message loud and clear. And that's why I'm excited that we're here today. That's why I'm excited you're going down to Minneapolis, and you folks were down there yesterday. I'm excited to see that happen. As long as it continues to be nonviolent, they have my full support, right? And so far, people have done a great job with that. But my point is, people in Washington are out of touch with reality. But that's going to change next November. I can assure you that my values stem from my own personal experiences. This is not just talking the talk. We have to walk the walk, because that's all I know. That's all I've ever known. My experiences were growing up in impoverished conditions, raised by a single mom in a trailer park in the suburbs of Chicago. That's where I was raised. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. I saw a lot around me as a kid that I didn't understand. Things I didn't like, things that I wanted to change then, and that's why I'm running for Congress, because I still want to change them now. From social inequality and injustice to sexism, racism, classism, and so on, we were treated differently because we were poor, but the same reason people are treated differently because of the color of their skin, or their income, or their religion, whatever the case is. That, to me, is completely un-American. And it shouldn't happen in this country. I'm running for Congress to ensure those of us who weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouths have a voice in Washington, D.C. When I was 11, my family and I, my brother and I, and my mom, moved to a small northern paper mill town of Tillamook, Wisconsin. Very similar to Grand Rapids and a lot of the other communities that we know in this district. That's where I went to middle school, that's where I went to high school. And I bring it up because that's where I learned the importance of small town values and civic engagement and this notion of community, right? I had teachers and guidance counselors who actually took the time and invested in me and other members of the community, who took us out fishing, right, Dan Ryder and others, and I shouldn't even start naming names, but it's hard not to because people deserve respect. I got friends that are teachers that do that kind of stuff now. You know, it's about believing in each other and working out for each other and realizing that we're all in this together as a community. And that's what we see in communities across this district. We obviously see it here in Duluth. I've been very proud to be engaged in the Duluth community for the last dozen years, and you see that every day, and I think Duluth's a model, but I also think Grand Rapids is the model. I think Wadena is the model, the way that community came together after the tornado. You see Pine City as a model. You see a lot of great communities in here. But we also have a representative in Congress who, doesn't necessarily agree with that old Wellstone saying that we all do better when we all do better, right? It's not every man and woman for themselves. It made me sick to my stomach when just a couple weeks ago, and we heard that Tea Party GOP debate, right? When we heard somebody actually applaud the idea of somebody dying because they couldn't afford health insurance. You remember that? That's absurd. And it's about damn time we stand up and say, that's absurd, right? That is absurd. But that's not all that far from what then congressional candidate Kickoff said in a debate with Congressman, more pardon me, Miss Congressman Overstar. Congressman Overstar about a year and a half ago in that debate in Grand Rapids, when again he said, if somebody can't afford health insurance, well, I guess they're on their own. I don't believe in that part. I just don't believe in that principle. I know if you're in this room today, you don't agree with that principle. I couldn't disagree with that more. Call me a socialist, call me a bleeding heart liberal, I don't care what you call me, but call me an American because I believe in this country we should be looking out for each other. And if that means raising taxes on the wealthy, well then so be it. But at the end of the day, I'm tired of seeing the wealthy get breaks while the poor get the screws. I mean, that's what's happening. So let's just be honest. That's what's happening. So that's why I'm running for Congress. That's why I want to fundamentally change the way we do politics. Kickoff has criticized the Affordable Health Care Act. Let's just say it, Obamacare, right? Obamacare, that's right. Because he says it goes too far. I support it, but I've been critical of it too because I don't think it goes far enough. To get back on track, after graduating high school, I moved up here to the Twin Ports to attend college. And then I absolutely fell in love with the area like a lot of people do. They come up here for college, they stick around, and that's a good thing. I first lived in Superior, then Duluth, and back and forth a couple times as a college student, wherever I could afford rent, quite frankly. And, this is where I want to be. This is where I've developed roots, which again I'll talk about in just a second. But I'm proud that I've been an engaged member of the Duluth community for over a dozen years, serving as a community volunteer, working for a number of nonprofits here in town, served as an AmeriCorps member, which is a very honorable program which really speaks about the values of it, absolutely. And I'm involved with local politics in this awesome community for quite a while. But like it did me, higher education brought me here. And that's obviously that's a good thing for the whole community and the whole region. It's a ripple effect when we have young people who are trying to better their lives come to this community and stay here. That's a good thing, right? And that's a big reason why I've chosen to be here today and kick this campaign off here at UMD. It's not just because I want to talk about higher education, although I do, but I'm going to. But it's also because we have to do a better job of reaching out to the next generation and getting them involved with this process. Again, I don't think we've always done a great job of doing that in the party, but that's going to change with this campaign, I promise you that. One of the first, speaking of which, one of the first public events I went to after announcing was coming to speak at the UMD College Democrats. I appreciate the opportunity, and I hope that you hear similar things now. I'm not just talking the talk, we're going to walk the walk, and this is how we're going to talk for the next year, and this is why we're going to win. But we have to do that. We have to reach out to younger individuals, right? That's why for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to hit every single community college in this district and talk about these kinds of things. And again, because it's personal, and that's okay. Let it be personal. We're talking about higher education. We're talking about Pell Grants, for example, right? I could not have gone to college without a Pell Grant. Again, we're pretty poor. I couldn't have done it without a Pell Grant. I couldn't have gone to college without a financial aid, and I wouldn't be here today if I didn't go to college. So, it's programs like this that help me and others out of poverty and simply level the playing field for students who are willing to work hard and contribute what they can, but simply can't keep up with the rising cost of education. That's why it's almost like a personal attack when Kickoff voted to cut Pell Grants. Or when he's talked about opposing programs like the TRIO program, right? These are personal issues, and they should be for all of us, because you're really fundamentally talking about taking away something that's as American as apple pie, right? Public education. I'm proud to support public education. And I refuse to let this district continue to be represented by a congressman who doesn't agree that every child should at least have the opportunity for a great education regardless of their social class. That's a big reason why I'm running for Congress. When I was in high school, I remember I applied for that financial aid letter, right? And I realized that my fate was tied to the hands of whatever the government was going to respond to me. I remember vividly the day that after waiting for quite a while, I finally got that letter in the mail. And I remember opening it, and I remember seeing that I was eligible for a Pell Grant. And I remember jumping in the car and rushing to you know where I'm going with this, don't you, Bob? I remember vividly rushing to the restaurant that my mom and I both worked at, and we just hugged each other for like 3 or 4 minutes, and she cried just like she's doing now. It's going to make me cry, so stop that. And it was emotional, and it should have been, because I then became the first person in my family to go to college and graduate college. And my brother's smart enough, he could have. Absolutely, and he should have. And we'll get him back there.
It's not too late.
It's not too late. But he's got a great job. He's doing great. I'm proud of my brother. Of course, and we'll talk about him for just a second. But it was personal because, Mom, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but Mom, like other people that come from generational poverty, dropped out of high school to support family and to work and to try to make ends meet, just as her brothers had, just as other members in our family have. That's unfortunately the cycle with generational poverty. We lived in a hand-me-down trailer, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that pretty symbolic of what we talk about when we talk about generational poverty. And that Pell Grant, to get back on the subject, was what changed my life and the trajectory that my life went. That's why this stuff's personal, because I know programs like that, they're not socialist programs. They're not handouts to people who are looking for free rides. Not at all. These are opportunities to level the playing field and to ensure every student in America, should they be willing to and wanting to, they at least have an opportunity to come and get a good public education. And I want to support that. My mom's lifelong ambition was to make sure my brother and I graduated high school, right? And we have my brother. I'm extremely proud of him and the work he's doing in Ohio now. I wish he'd come to Minnesota. I try to keep recruiting him. I got my mom up there now. We got to get my brother up there. But my brother and I were able to graduate high school because of that public education system, and I got to go to college because of that Pell Grant. And I can assure you that I will be committed to public education from pre-K to post-secondary and beyond, because that's why I'm running for Congress, and I don't believe Chip Robock's doing that, and that's why I want to replace him next fall. After completing my graduate schools, after completing my undergraduate at UWS, I came over here to UMD. I walked down these very halls, which is again why I wanted to kick this campaign off here, because it's personal to me. And I went to this program called, where's she? Whatever, I'll find it. We went to a program called Masters of Advocacy and Political Leadership. There's Cindy back there, right? And then there's Susanna. Oh, there she is. Thanks for running that program so efficiently over there. But isn't it encouraging to hear advocacy and political leadership in the same sentence? That's what I want to represent in Washington, D.C. It's important to me because I believe we have to do a better job of reaching out to people from all walks of life, and I think the MAPA program does that, and I'm proud to be a part of that. But again, we have to really talk about expanding the base. We have to talk about, that's why we're at campus, that's why we're reaching out to young people, that's why we're going to keep doing that. But we have to stand on issues, right? We have to let people know what we believe. We have to stand up for principles. We have to expand our base. By doing that, we have to simply, we can't just offer the same old tired talking points. I believe we can be, if we do it right, which we're going to do, I believe we're going to be a model for the rest of the country to show how we can do politics differently. We can lead in the 8th Congressional District and show Washington, D.C. and the rest of the country, this is how you do it. You get low-income, middle-income people from all walks of life together with a common cause. Throw out the old DFL playbook. Do it a different way and show people how we do it right. That's what I'm most excited about. But in order to do that, we have to stand up for issues. So I'm just going to take just a few minutes and talk about the issues that mean the most to me. Just last month, as you all know, it marked the 10-year anniversary of September 11th. Like it did many of you, obviously, it affected me very personally. I remember seeing those towers fall and thinking that we had just become a nation at war. I also remember calling, again, my mom said I'm using your ladder, sorry, but I remember calling my mom soon. And I remember, first and foremost saying, I love you. And that's what it meant, do well, it's reminded to say those important words. But also, Mom, I want to talk to you. And, like all moms are somehow capable of, she already knew where I was going with that. And she said, I know what you're going to do and I can't stop you. I'm proud of you. I support whatever decision you make, but I don't want you to do it. But my mom knew, as she knows now, as she knew I was going to run, I'm not the kind of person to sit in the sidelines. I'm not the kind of person to let somebody else go and fight our wars for us, whether that be political or whether that be literal wars. So I proudly walked down to the recruiter station and enlisted to serve this country soon after 9/11, out of a sense of patriotism, service, and dedication to my country that had come under attack. I was a young, able-bodied young man, 20-something, and I figured that if we were going to go to war, I might as well go too. I never thought for a second that war was going to be the end-all solution, that it was going to solve all of our problems. My goal was simply to do what I could to prevent America from feeling like we did that morning. And, perhaps naively, I guess I thought that our leaders in Washington, D.C. then would worry about some of the other bigger stuff. While we temporarily halted another attack, they'd deal with things that are really going to get to the root of terrorism, which is global poverty and oppression and those kinds of things. That really hasn't happened, and that's a big reason why I'm running for Congress. But that's not what we're talking about right now. What I'm trying to say is, what happened after that really changed my life. Again, growing up poor, I got involved with politics, I saw a lot of things I didn't like, but that really was a turning point for me in so many ways. I simply wanted to do everything I could to prevent another attack, and it was a sacrifice, because like many of you are, I was already almost done with school. But at the same time, I figured it was the right thing to do. I really don't think that we've gone in the right direction from there. Point being, I was proud to enlist. I fully expected to go to war. But I never thought I'd be sent to a war in a country that had absolutely nothing to do with September 11th. I figured Afghanistan, Pakistan, a country that made sense. But when President Bush started talking about Iraq, I got that pit in my stomach. That pit when you know something ain't right, right? Those feelings got worse when I watched members of both of our parties, which includes Democrats, roll over and die and allow us to go to this unjust war without putting up a fight. Those concerns and fears I had about the situation were solidified when my boots hit the ground overseas. There is vast financial waste. There is an abuse of power. There is war profiting. As there is every war, there's a lack of leadership, there's a lack of a clear mission, and I can go on and on. But everything that's starting to come out now is pretty evident when you're sitting in Iraq, when you're driving a truck down the roads in Iraq. Every meal that I was served was handed to me not by an army cook, but by a private contractor. Every single base that I went to in Iraq or Kuwait or anywhere in the Middle East was not guarded by military police. They were guarded by military contractors who made more money than military police. And yes, they were all affiliated with KBR and Halliburton, a lot of these no-big contracts that were Dick Cheney and his cronies, and that's why we're in Iraq in a lot of ways. And anybody who says otherwise is either a fool or a liar. And those of us who have come back and are now talking about that stuff, those are the voices you should be listening to, not Fox News. I'm not interested in making money. I'm not. If I did, I wouldn't have worked in nonprofits. I wouldn't be in political life, right? I am interested, though, in honoring the men and women who courageously enlisted to serve this country and somehow got sent to a rich man's war of choice. That war must end. I'm running for Congress to not only get us out of these wars, but to ensure we have those independent voices in Congress who won't just be puppets for the party leaderships, but who will fundamentally stand up for what we believe in, even if that means we stand alone. I will never commit to sending troops into harm's way until I do my own independent research and deem it absolutely necessary. Again, I don't regret serving for a second. I wouldn't change anything about that. I do regret having the type of leaders in this country who let that happen. It's easy to blame Bush and Cheney and Rumsfeld and that company, and Lord knows they deserve a lot of blame. But we also have to be honest with ourselves as Democrats and as Americans again. We allowed this war to happen. As citizens, we did. It's my fault, it's your fault, it's all of our faults. But we can learn from that. And we can say, never again. That's why now, 10 years later, almost to the date, I am enlisting to serve this country once again. This time to serve in the United States Congress, but for very similar reasons. Again, our country is under attack. Many of our shared values, including workers' rights, women's rights, equality for all, public education, taking care of our seniors, the most vulnerable, and many other progressive values that I hold near and dear to my heart are under attack. Let's address these issues head on and let's call it what it is. Our nation's at war with ourselves right now in a lot of ways. I have been outspoken in my opposition to the Iraq War. If you know me at all, you know that. I've given over 200 presentations and speeches across the state, around the country, testifying in D.C. People probably are telling me, okay, we get it, Fanny, you're against the war, fine. But we're going to keep doing it because whether we know it or not, guess what? There's still about 30,000 troops there. One of the best moments of this week, not only to have you in this room, but to open up the Duluth News Tribune the other day and actually see the word Iraq in print. They were talking about me and being an Iraq War veteran and my opposition to the war. I don't know if they were trying to attack me with that or not, but believe me, I wear that as a badge of honor. I'm proud of what I've done. Thank you. That's what we have to do, though. We have to address these issues head on. We have to talk about common sense solutions. And again, you have to be outspoken in a respectful way. We never should have been sent to that war in the first place, and we still shouldn't be there. Meanwhile, the mission in Afghanistan's gotten less clear. We've now been there for 10 years. We just marked that anniversary this week. Again, we just hit the 10-year mark. We can't keep funding that war indefinitely. We must expedite the process of bringing our troops home completely out of Iraq and increasingly out of Afghanistan. And then we can begin addressing some of those issues that I thought we would be addressing 10 years ago, talking about oppression and global poverty and military occupation has done more harm than good. It is time to bring the troops home and ensure they have the support they need once we get home. We need leaders who will stand up against power-hungry, corrupt politicians and stand up for us common people. We need leaders who put principle over party. Our first political campaign I ever worked on was for Senator Russ Feingold. Pete, I expect applause out of that one, buddy.
Yeah.
Whose career as a public servant continues to inspire me every day. I mentioned Pete because you were with the Patriot Corps, which I just admire the heck out of you for doing that. It's pretty cool. And Pete and I and other Molly and others, I've also had the honor of working for State Senator John Marty, who again is a deep man of principle and a man that I was so damn proud to work for. And most recently, I had the honor of working for Senator Al Franken. Again, a man of absolutely. A man who clearly isn't afraid to take a stand. I couldn't have been more proud to work for him for the last couple of years. And I stopped by the Wellstone Memorial, like I stop by that almost every time I'm around the Duluth area. People probably wonder why my car keeps going by there, but I do. I stop by there, I'm not ashamed of that. And sometimes I just sit there and think, and I continue to be inspired by his leadership. And by no means am I liking myself to those people at all, but those are the types of leaders who inspire me, and I'm proud of that. Those are the type of commitments that I want to live up to when I'm U.S. Congressman. There are some really impressive leaders today in this state. And coincidentally, they're young, newly elected leaders, for the most part, who haven't been career politicians, who are standing up for what they fundamentally believe in. A perfect example of that right now is a fellow Iraq War veteran, State Representative John Creasel. Who, guess what, is a Republican from Cottage Grove. John and I disagree on quite a few issues. But I have been so damn impressed with John's commitment to stay. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I've been so darn impressed. Sorry, pal. I've been so impressed with John's willingness to stand up to his own party when necessary, to fundamentally stand up for what he believes in. That's what we're talking about here today. Principle before party. John inspires me as a Republican, and I've told him that. We also have young leaders here in the Northland. Carly Moline, for example, she's doing a great job up in Hibbing. I make fun of Kerry because he's not as young as some of the others, but I tell him my state representative, Terry got there, he's doing a great job because he goes down to St. Paul and stands up for what he believes in. We go back to John for just a second. I've been so impressed that he stood up to the party and he is opposed to this marriage amendment that the GOP is pushing. So I'm going to talk about that more in just 1 second. John and I didn't risk our lives, put our lives in the line for our country, only to come back to find out that we're taking rights away from people? Is that not the most un-American thing you can think of? That's why I'm so proud of John Creasel. I'm proud of him and the other leaders that I mentioned. It's time that we follow that lead and stand up for what we believe in. At a time when so many politicians say like they will say or do just about anything to get elected, such as avoiding taking these controversial stands or standing up to party leadership or moving to a district that gives them a better opportunity to win there or, simply making promises they know darn well they can't live up to. I will offer something different than politics as usual. You may not agree with me on every issue, and that's okay. I don't agree with John on every issue, but you know what? If he was running up here, I'd vote for him. Because that's the kind of leadership we need. You'll know where I stand, and you'll know why I stand there, because again, my passions derive from my personal experience. You can't take that away. You can't take away from the fact that I was born in a trailer park. You can't take away from the fact that I almost died for my country. You can't take away from the fact that I've served as a pallbearer to a friend of mine who took his life because he was on a VA waiting list. You can't take those things away. That's what I'm going to do differently. I'm going to talk about issues that actually matter. especially those issues that Congressman Kerbach and I disagree on. I know the issues well. I'm convinced the majority of people in the 8th Congressional District will see that our values better represent this district. For example, I will work tirelessly to end the Bush tax cuts that favor the wealthiest among us. This will, listen to this, Republicans, this will help reduce the deficit. It will. It will help level the playing field. I will also work closely to close existing loopholes for corporations and so on and so forth that we've all heard about for years and Democrats aren't doing it yet. It's time for a representative who understands firsthand the struggles for everyday Americans. I've worked on a number of pension issues. You know what? The system that we have in this country are failing America's workers. I've seen it firsthand, particularly on the Iron Range. Where's Jacob? Was it your father? One of many examples I've heard over the last couple of years. That's personal stuff, and somebody puts a whole life on the line to work for a company and then gets screwed, for lack of a better word, by that company and by a country that doesn't protect them. I will. Speaking of going down that path, I will advocate for pension reform and other opportunities to protect America's workforce, including guaranteed collective bargaining rights and the Employee Free Choice Act. We need a representative that will support a number of projects and proposals around this region that will help move this district and this country forward in a new positive direction. We have to put people back to work and get our economy moving again. We have to reinvest in our own country and our own infrastructure. For example, projects like the Northern Lights Express high-speed passenger railroad would not only create immediate construction jobs, but also set the region up for long-term success moving forward. It'd be great for Duluth, it'd be great for the Range, it'd be great for the Mille Lacs Band, it'd be great for Pine County, the city of Hinckley. It would be great for so many different reasons in so many different communities along the 8th District. Talk about a phenomenal return on investment. These are the kind of projects that we have to stand up and strongly support. Unfortunately, our current congressman doesn't seem too interested in investing in our district. I will. There's a number of projects like that. I won't get into all of them. There's a number of projects from business parks to Floodwood to eco-industrial parks in Grand Rapids to Silver Bay. There's a number of projects that are just so close to coming to fruition, and all we need is that extra support at the congressional level that we've clearly been lacking this past year, and that's going to change next November. But not only do we need to support these new programs and projects, but also repair existing crumbling infrastructure. We know about the roads and bridges, and there's a lot of work to be done on roads and bridges. But a lot of us aren't as familiar with some of the things that are happening that we can't see. Our public services, like waters and wastewater treatment facilities plants that are starting to crumble all around this district. The Central Iron Range Sanitary Sewer District is a perfect example of an investment that we need to make. I'm proud to have the mayors of Chisholm and Buell support, and I know Michael was going to be here today, he had to go to a wedding, but he sends his regards, and more importantly, he sends his support, and I'm damn proud of that. I've toured these existing facilities with community leaders like them, and I've seen firsthand how serious some of these problems are. And that's, again, this is a perfect example that when they called me up and said, we need some support, I'm up there. They've been waiting a year to see Kerbach up there, and he's never showed up. But he showed up twice and marched in political parades. We'll talk about that in just a second. Speaking of wastewater treatment plants and water, I just want to recognize that my friend Tom Ladwick Jr., the mayor of Quamba, is here. And Quamba is another perfect example of a community that's done great work. Thanks to Tom's leadership and the former mayor's leadership, you're starting to see some traction down there in terms of getting a new sewer system. We're going to help kick that can down the road even further, but thanks for being here, I appreciate that. I look forward to continuing to work with Tom and so many others in communities across the district. We need a representative who will honor commitments to all of us, to our seniors, to our students, to future generations, to those of us who have proudly worn the uniform, our veterans, fellow community members from all walks of life and income levels. To do so, we must protect and defend vital programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, as well as ensuring everyone has access to quality, affordable health care and public education. We must also ensure veteran programs are fully funded so we can serve those who have honestly served us. This isn't about handouts. It's about living up to the American dream and leveling the playing field so all people have access to that American dream. That's why I'm running for Congress. We need a representative who actually understands our region and votes in our best interest, not against our interest. That's why, when I'm your congressman, I'll do everything I can to support regional airports, which I know isn't the most sexiest thing to talk about. but it's a big deal to me because I've been working on that issue and I realize how important these issues are. Air service in communities is vital for local businesses, including paper mills and mining companies, and yes, I'm talking about International Falls, Brainerd, and Hemming. They're critical for tourism, economic development, and overall commerce. Unfortunately, even though he sits on the Transportation Committee and is a former pilot, Chip Gearbox actually voted to oppose the essential air service, which very well could cripple some of these communities. That was Jim Overstar's baby project. I just met with Congressman Overstar a couple days ago, and we talked about that in great detail. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about, but it's one of the issues I will fight like heck to ensure that we keep essential air service so that we can keep International Falls and Hemming and Brainerd and other communities up and afloat. Again, voting against the district. That's our congressman right now. What do we got? 300-something.
Which district does he live in?
About it, yeah. Well, we need a representative who will fight for human rights and equality for all. Here is...
Yes.
Here in Minnesota, we will have an opportunity to reject exclusionary politics and blatant discrimination next November when we stand together in opposition to the GOP-pushed marriage amendment. I can't believe we're going to talk about that. I will do everything I can to ensure this amendment fails so that equality and common sense wins. We must also address ongoing discrimination in a number of other forms. I proudly call myself a feminist. How can I not be? I was raised by a single mom. I'm proud to have the support of very strong feminists in this room. Thank you very much for being here. I support the Equal Rights Amendment. I will not waver in my support of women's rights or true equality. That doesn't mean everyone's going to agree on every issue. That's okay. But at least you'll know where we stand and you'll know why, and that's what matters to me. Furthermore, as Congressman, I want to continue to be a strong partner for our friends in Indian country and look forward to continuing to work with several impressive tribal government leaders here in the 8th Congressional District. We are blessed to have a very impressive tribal government here in the northeast corner of the state, and it's been an honor to get to know those folks, and I can't wait to keep working with them. If my lips are getting dry, you guys are getting sick of talking. Listen to me talk, so let me speed up here just a little. Sorry. I just got a lot to say. These are issues that are personal to me. I'm sorry. We need a representative who won't have blind loyalty to a project in the name of jobs. That's controversial, I know. But I just said it, and I'll say it again. We need a representative who won't have blind loyalty to a project just in the name of jobs. We all want to create jobs. I assure you it'll be one of my absolute top priorities as well. We have a proud and strong and impressive tradition of mining here in northern Minnesota, and I'm all for starting up new mines and creating new jobs. Don't get me wrong. But let's do it right. If it can't be done right, it's not worth doing. If we have strict environmental standards in the state, that's a good thing. Let's honor them. Let's keep them. I will proudly support any project that does so. I will oppose any project that does not, and at least work with them to ensure that they meet our environmental standards. And I'm not just going to have a dog and pony show every couple months to say, look, I'm fighting for the little guy. I'm actually going to be fighting for the little guy. And those little guys also like to enjoy the environment as well from time to time. So we can do both. It's not an either and or issue. Let's talk about it that way, and let's not demonize people who are just raising pretty good common sense approaches like, let's make damn sure we don't ruin the boundary water. That's okay. These issues I care a lot about. We know these issues. I think you get the point. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. Whether it was enlisting in the military after 9/11, fighting for those less fortunate, speaking out against the war in Iraq, advocating for veterans' rights, as associate chair of the DFL Veterans Caucus, which I'm very proud of, or other examples, I've always stood up for what I believe in, and I encourage you all to keep doing the same. I have been and will continue to be a strong champion for low-income and working-class families, public education, a strong healthcare system, taking care of our seniors and most vulnerable, corporate accountability, workers' rights, women's rights, responsible investments in our future, equality for all, and value-based leadership. Again, it's about putting principle before party. I'm confident we can and will be victorious next November because we offer something different. When Chip ran last time, he also ran as a reformist, as an outsider, which in a lot of ways is what my message is, right? But my words aren't just empty rhetoric. I'm already standing up for the issues that I believe in. Chip claimed he'd do something other than politics as usual. He claimed he was a fiscal conservative. but he has done nothing but play the same old tired political game since he's been in Washington, D.C. A perfect example of that is when he voted with fellow Tea Partier John Boehner and other Republican leaders who wanted the second $450 million engine for an F-35 jet engine, even though the military made it pretty darn clear they don't want it. But that was made in Ohio. So Chip took his orders and he said, as you mentioned before, who does Chip represent? The 8th District? No. He represents Tea Party leadership. That's not a reformist. That's not an outsider. That's politics as usual, and that's why we're going to defeat him next November. The way Kickoff does business, we have to fundamentally stand up for what we believe in and inspire people to get involved. We can't just run a negative attack against him all the time. We have to offer that alternative. That's why I speak out about these issues. I'm sorry I'm getting a little long-winded, but I wanted to do that because it's important to me. I've actually met with Kickoff a number of times. He's not a bad guy. We've actually shared a couple laughs together. I respect his service to this country, both in uniform and out of uniform. I don't think he's a bad person. I don't hate him. I hate the kind of politics he represents, and I hate where he stands on some of these issues because I think they're in the worst interest of our district. That's why I'm running against him. Along those same lines, as DFLers, I strongly encourage our own party to throw out that tired old playbook. It doesn't work anymore. It's not a tagline. This isn't empty rhetoric. We have to change the way we do politics in this district and in this country. We can learn something from Kickoff's campaign. Let's give credit where credit's due. He worked his tail off. He did. He ran a pretty good campaign. He used his military experience. He used his outsider status. He used a good grassroots campaign. I don't care if people were busting or not. Where he showed up, people were with him. And I'm going to need all you with me. We're going to out-chip Chip. We're going to do it that way. That's exactly what I plan to do. That's what we're already doing. You being in this room today is exactly what we have to keep doing. And I'm proud and honored to have your support. That's exactly what we're going to keep doing. I cannot wait to debate Chip Kickoff. I just can't. I offer more than just empty rhetoric. But meanwhile, as a party, as DFLers, and maybe this isn't time or place to address this, but I'm going to address it every opportunity I get. We have to make sure that we don't become our own worst enemy. We just have to. I take nothing for granted, but I do believe that this is our race to lose. If we resort to politics as usual, we will lose, and we would deserve to lose. One of the attacks that I already hear against me and others is that, well, I like Fanny. I think he'd be phenomenal in Congress. You know, but he wasn't born here. So yeah, I'm going to address that head on right now. I wasn't. I've already alluded to the fact that I was born in that dreaded place called just outside of Chicago, right? But you can't fault someone where they're born. But you can give them credit for where they choose to live and choose to settle down and choose to grow roots. For more than a decade, I've been involved in this community, and I'm proud of that. If others want to run their campaign based on their birthplaces, then so be it. They must not have much else to stand up for. And I'm assuming, by the way, that those people didn't support Paul Wellstone, because he was born in Virginia, not the city. And I assume those people don't support the founder of the Democratic Farmer Labor Party, Hubert Humphrey. I suppose those people want Tim Walz to resign as an incredible and awesome congressman from the 1st Congressional District down in southern Minnesota. Or Keith Ellison, who is a phenomenal leader in our state, who was born in Detroit. Let's stop the nonsense, right? Let's talk about things that really matter. Let's really focus on taking our seat back. That's how we're going to win next November. Yes. Become our own worst enemy because we keep doing this. You don't hear other candidates talking about this stuff, but this is how we're going to win next November. That's why I want to talk about it here today. I don't agree with Tara Clark's decision to run here either. But when you talk about her and you use, the same old tired rhetoric and calling her names and whatnot, I don't think that's good for the party. I don't. And to take it a step farther, the people who often do that stuff do it as an anonymous blogger or do it at, a little snippet here or there. They don't have the courage of their convictions. They don't actually stand up and say these things publicly. So I give people who do credit, at least, right? Just to go down that road for a second, I have a lot of respect for Tara Clark. I really do. I really appreciate and honor her service to the state already. she's been devoted to the 6th district, and quite frankly, I think she should go back to the 6th district because we have a great candidate in the 8th district. I would be proud and honored to work with her in Congress. I will do everything I can to ensure she wins. One of our top priorities as Democrats should be to take back the entire House of Representatives. Terrell gives us the best shot to do that in the 6th district. I give us the best shot to do it in the 8th district. Let's work together. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's respect. Right? I also think we need a long-term investment in this seat. I do. I don't believe we just want someone to hold the seat for 1 or 2 terms. And I've heard Rick Nolan's people suggest that. I don't agree with that. If we'd be going through this same ugly cycle in a couple of years, I don't want to do that. I'll be running for re-election, but I don't want to go through this stuff again in a couple of years trying to figure out the infighting, how to navigate through the system. It's not good for the party. I would rely on Rick's advice and counsel anytime he'd give it to me. I'd be blessed and honored to listen to him. But let's not go down that road just to keep it easy. And let's talk about those things honestly. I'm not mocking him because of his age at all. I actually think Rick's a great guy. I'm much more in line with him politically than I am other people. But I want a long-term investment in the seat, and that's what I offer. I believe I match up best against Shikra for a number of reasons. I've lived in this district for years. I understand the region. I've worked on these federal issues and know how to get things done. I share our values, and I've consistently stood up for them. I'm not a career politician, which I'm proud of. I offer something besides empty rhetoric and politics as usual, and I will strive to be the hardest working, most successful member of Congress. And again, to steal our hero, Russ Feingold's words, Russ did this thing where he had listening sessions in every single county in the district. I'll do the same. Every single county in the 8th Congressional District will at least have 1 town hall meeting every single year. Chances are I'd push for 2, but always at least 1 every single year. That's accessibility, and that's the commitment I want to give to this district. We must do things differently, from the way we run a campaign to the way we run our country. My campaign will obviously be issue-based and value-based. It won't just be negative and whiny. Especially at the start, we have to have a small, streamlined staff, and that's what we're going to have, and I'm so proud and honored to have some great people working for us already, some phenomenal volunteers all across the district organizing already. That's how we're going to win. There's a lot of, absolutely. I had to give up a great job, and I'm proud to have done that. Don't get me wrong. But we all have to make sacrifices. I'm going to take a significant pay cut, but at the end of the day, I'm going to ask you for money too. You know what I mean? That's where I'm going with this. That's exactly where I'm going with this. Today, I feel this is a game changer. I really do. I feel like my candidacy is a game changer for a lot of ways, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support, especially those that are standing behind me during this long-winded speech. Thank you. But this goes beyond one candidate. This goes so much more beyond just me or my candidacy or replacing Chip Rock next year. We have to stand up for what we believe in, and we have to do work to re-elect President Obama.
Yes.
We don't agree with him on every issue. But I know the challenges he's up against, and I think he's doing a pretty darn good job, and I'm actually impressed he's gotten as much done as he's gotten done, quite frankly, given the rhetoric in D.C. I am proud to continue to support Barack Obama. I supported him before most people even say his name, right? I'm proud of that. I was with him way on board before he even announced, and I'm continuing to be as proud as I can possibly be of him. But we also have to support Senator Klobuchar and make sure she's reelected. We have to make sure we take back the Minnesota House and the Minnesota Senate. We have to oppose this ridiculous marriage amendment. This is an exciting time in politics. The silver lining to all this mess that we've gone through is that folks are actually paying attention and ready to try something new, something real, something authentic, ready to move forward. For example, I'm excited that next month we'll elect 3 progressive women here in the Duluth City Council. I am very proud to support Linda, Emily, and Jennifer. Absolutely. I'm proud to support the re-election of my good personal friend in our city council, Jackie, who will be joining another strong progressive woman, Charlotte, on the city council. Duluth is heading in the right direction, it is. And now we need to take the 8th district in the country moving in that direction as well, and we need to move forward. I've been so proud and overwhelmed by the encouragement that I've received in recent months, and it's because of all of you that I'm standing here today. And I promise to pay that back many times over. I realize this isn't about me. I realize this is you coming out on a Sunday, you giving your hard-earned money, all that kind of things. I know what that means, believe me. I know what that means, and it means the world to me. So thank you. I promise to work my tail off and do everything I can to win this seat back and to move forward, and we must change the way we do politics. But at the end of the day, the reality is the fate's in all of our hands. It's in your hands. It really is. We cannot do this alone. I said it before, we need to raise money. We do. And I encourage you all to visit and send your friends to our brand new website that my friend Cameron Kruger did just a phenomenal job of doing. Thank you, Cameron. I'm so proud of you. Visit that website, planningforcongress.com, to make a donation. $25, $2,500, we'll take whatever you can give us. Whatever you can afford, every bit helps. Until we publicly finance campaigns, which I would be all for, by the way, we have to continue to raise money, and we have to continue to have this energy and excitement, and that's how we're going to win. I'm proud to announce that in my first week, not even a full week, by the way, that I've raised almost as much as one candidate did all last quarter. That's momentum. But we need a heck of a lot more. We need a heck of a lot more money. We need a lot more support. I need you to go out, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, host a house party like some of my good friends are doing. We're going to do, that's how we're going to win this seat. That's how we're going to win next November. Winning isn't the end goal. It's really not. In a lot of ways, that's just the beginning. That's when the real work begins. That's when we do what Wellstone says, which is improve people's lives. That's what politics is about. You know, again, I couldn't do this without you, so just to wrap up now, I just want to say thank you to some people, and I know, but I shouldn't start doing that, because I should then go around and thank each and every single one of you in the room, but I'd be remiss if I didn't thank a couple people by name, of course. Now that I've done my fundraising pitch, I feel like I can conclude now. Thank you to each and every one of you who are here today. All of you who have encouraged me to run over the last several months, who believed in me and put your trust and confidence in me, and I cannot tell you how much that means to me. There are some people I just have to name by name. First and foremost, as I think it's pretty clear, my mom. If you wonder where I get my work ethic from, I think you know now. Not only the single mom, but cancer survivor. I can go, I won't even go down, I won't even talk about all the reasons I think the world of you, but thank you for being here, Mom, I love you. My partner, Melissa, who is taking care of the girls, is always in the back. I couldn't do this without you. I just couldn't.
Thank you, Melissa.
I couldn't do this without knowing that I had your full support. I don't think the people who know me well know that when I got back, it's not the war's fault, it's not the military's fault, but when I got back from Iraq, I was in a dark place, like a lot of people are, just confused, kind of pissed off at the world in a lot of ways, and I was hurt. And that's when Melissa and I first met, and I'm sure I wasn't a great friend because I didn't spend as much time with her as I wanted to or should have, but at the end of the day, I'm happier than I've ever been now because of you. I feel more supportive than I've ever been now, and I feel more, I have this direction that I've never had, this clear direction of why I want to do what I want to do. And in some ways, that's what made this decision so much harder, because I want to spend every waking breath with you and the girls. But I also realize that our country's heading in a direction that I don't agree with. And for the sake of those two girls that I love so much, Peyton, who just celebrated her birthday yesterday, and Riley, we have to make the world a better place. And that's why we're running for Congress. So thank you, Melissa, and thank you, Riley and Peyton. My brother Willie drove from Ohio to be here for this, brother. Thank you. I can't tell you how much it means to me. We've been through thick and thin together for the last 31 years now, right? The other thing I'm talking about, my mom and our struggles, you were right there with us, and I couldn't have done this without you. So thanks for being here, thanks for taking pictures, and thanks for being a great brother, man. I love it. Thank you. My father and Aunt Deb are here today. Through no fault of my own or your own, we didn't know each other until I was 18 years old, right? And not only did I find out who my father was, but I have this incredible man in my life who's been a friend to me, who's been supportive from the get-go, who's been welcoming and accommodating, and I can't tell you how that's changed my life. I really can't. You inspire me. He's been a cop for about 26 years? 26 years. Talk about a good public servant. You inspire me. I appreciate you being here. Like Melissa, my father came as a package deal. I got to learn this whole other family that I didn't even know about, and that includes my Aunt Deb, who's been just phenomenal from the get-go. You've been welcoming and accommodating and no questions asked. It's okay, you're family now, I love you, let's move on. That means the world to me. Thank you so much for being here. My Aunt Debbie's from Maine and my father from New York, and you guys came across country to be here. That means the world to me. Thank you so much. former daughter of the Rangers. I think you know what we're talking about. These are personal issues, aren't they? There's a lot of changes that we have to do in the 8th district. I don't have time to go through every single person, but I want to particularly acknowledge that people have driven from all across the district to be here today, and that's so awesome. I have friends in Canadian County, friends from Pine County, friends from Chisago County, Itasca County, thank you for being here, Lake County, all over the district. We have demonstrated today that what we have is real, it is authentic, it is what we need to take this seat back to get this district and this country moving in a new and positive direction. We're going to take back the House of Representatives, we're going to take back this district and this country, and most importantly, we're going to fundamentally change the way we do politics, starting right here in this kickoff. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much.